Princess Zaravan stood before the massive crystal mirror in her chambers. Her blue skin gleamed under the artificial lights, and her silver hair fell in perfect waves down her back. Today was her wedding day. Today she would marry a human. The thought still felt strange to her. Humans were so different from her people, the Kethmori. They had soft pink skin instead of crystal-hard blue scales. They were smaller and weaker than most galactic species. They had no natural weapons, no psychic powers, and no enhanced abilities. Yet somehow they had done what no one else could do. They had brought peace to the galaxy. For 300 years, 3 great empires had fought each other. The Kethmori Empire, with their crystal technology and honor codes. The Vex Swarm, led by their hive-minded queen who controlled billions of insect-like drones. And the Gorlak Confederacy, brutal warriors who lived only for battle and conquest. The war had destroyed countless worlds. Billions had died. Trade routes were cut off. Entire star systems became battlefields. No one could remember why the fighting had started, but no one could figure out how to stop it either. Then the humans arrived. They came from a small blue planet called Earth, far from the main trade routes. Their ships were basic. Their technology seemed primitive. Most galactic leaders barely noticed them at first. But the humans asked for a meeting with all 3 empires. That meeting changed everything. Zaravan had been there, standing behind her father, Emperor Kesavol. She watched as a single human diplomat spoke to the most powerful beings in the galaxy. His name was Marcus Chen, and he looked so ordinary that she almost felt sorry for him. Marcus was average height for a human, with dark hair and brown eyes. He wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. When he spoke, his voice was calm and quiet. He did not shout or make threats like the Gorlak representatives. He did not buzz and click in the complex language of the Vex. He just talked. But what he said made everyone listen. Marcus knew things. He knew about secret Kethmori mining operations in disputed space. He knew about Vex breeding facilities hidden in asteroid fields. He knew about Gorlak weapon supplies and trade agreements. He knew things that even the Empire's own spies had trouble learning. More importantly, he had solutions. Marcus proposed something that seemed impossible, a 3-way peace treaty. Each empire would keep certain territories. Trade would resume along protected routes. Prisoners would be exchanged. The fighting would stop. The other diplomats laughed at first. Peace treaties had been tried before and always failed. But Marcus had thought of everything. He had backup plans for every problem. He had answers for every objection. He made it sound not just possible but inevitable. The only condition was trust, and to prove that trust, there would be a marriage between the empires. A Kethmori princess would wed a human diplomat. Zaravan had volunteered before anyone could suggest it. She was the emperor's daughter, and third in line for the throne. Her marriage would show that the Kethmori were serious about peace. Besides, she was curious about this strange human who had done the impossible. Now, 6 months later, she was about to marry him. A soft knock came at her door. "Princess, it is time," said her aide. Zaravan took one last look in the mirror. Her wedding dress was made of silver thread that caught the light like starfire. It was beautiful, but she barely saw it. Her mind was on Marcus and the conversation they had shared the night before. "Are you nervous about tomorrow?" she had asked him. Marcus had smiled. It was a small smile, but it reached his eyes. "A little," he admitted. "This is not exactly how I imagined my wedding day would be." "You imagined your wedding day?" Zaravan had been surprised. Human emotions were still a mystery to her. Of course. Didn't you? She had thought about it. In her imagined wedding, she married a Kethmori noble for political reasons. There was no love, just duty. "I suppose I did. But not like this. Not like what? Not with someone I actually like." Marcus had laughed then, a warm sound that made her feel something she could not name. "I like you too, Zaravan. I think we might actually be happy together." Now, walking toward the ceremonial hall, Zaravan hoped he was right. The hall was massive, with crystal walls that stretched up toward a glass ceiling. Representatives from all 3 empires filled the seats. Cameras recorded everything for broadcast across the galaxy. This wedding was not just a personal moment. It was a symbol of peace for billions of beings. Marcus waited at the altar. He wore a black suit in the human style, but he had added a crystal pin from her people's tradition. When he saw her, he smiled that same small smile from the night before. The ceremony followed both human and Kethmori customs. They spoke vows in both languages, they exchanged rings as humans did, and they shared blood as her people did. When Marcus cut his palm with the crystal blade, Zaravan saw that his hand was steady. No fear, no hesitation. I, Marcus Chen of Earth, take you, Zaravan of Kethmor, as my wife. I promise to stand beside you in peace and in war, in joy and in sorrow, until death separates us. When it was her turn, Zaravan spoke the ancient words of her people, but she looked into Marcus's eyes and meant every word. I, Zaravan of the Crystal Throne, bind my life to yours. My honor is your honor. My enemies are your enemies. My people are your people. They pressed their bleeding palms together, mixing their blood. In Kethmori tradition, this meant their lives were now connected. What hurt one would hurt the other. The crowd erupted in cheers. The treaty was official. The war was over. At the reception afterward, Zaravan watched Marcus move through the crowd. He spoke to Vex drones in their clicking language. He shared drinks with Gorlak warriors and somehow made them laugh. He discussed crystal technology with Kethmori scientists as if he had studied it for years. Your husband is remarkable, said General Thexvar, one of her father's advisors. I have never seen anyone adapt so quickly to alien cultures. Zaravan nodded, but she was thinking about something else. Marcus did not just adapt to their cultures, he understood them. He knew exactly what to say to each species to make them comfortable. It was almost as if he had been studying them for much longer than the few months since first contact. Later that night, in their shared chambers, Zaravan asked Marcus about it. How do you know so much about our languages and customs? You learned them very quickly. Marcus was quiet for a moment. He was sitting by the window looking out at the stars. Humans are good at learning, he said finally. We have to be. What do you mean? Earth is not like other worlds. It is difficult, dangerous. Humans had to learn to adapt quickly or we died. So we became very good at watching, listening, and understanding. Zaravan studied his face. There was something in his voice, something she could not identify. Is that why you were chosen as a diplomat? Marcus turned to look at her. In the starlight, his brown eyes looked almost black. I was chosen because I understand how civilizations work, how they think, how they fight, how they make peace. And do you understand me? This time his smile was different. Warmer, but also sad. I'm trying to. I hope you'll help me learn. Zaravan moved to sit beside him. I will, and perhaps you can help me understand humans. Perhaps, Marcus said, but something in his tone suggested that understanding humans might be more complicated than she imagined. Outside their window, the galaxy was at peace for the first time in 3 centuries. Ships moved safely along trade routes. Families could contact each other across the stars. Children were being born who would never know war, all because of the strange, quiet human sitting beside her. Zaravan had married Marcus for peace. But as she looked at him in the starlight, she realized that peace might not be the only thing she would gain from this marriage. There was something about him that drew her in, something that made her want to know more. She had no idea that soon she would learn exactly what humans were capable of. And it would change everything she thought she knew about peace, war, and the soft-skinned species that had somehow become the most powerful force in the galaxy. 6 months had passed since the wedding, and Zaravan found herself genuinely happy. Marriage to Marcus was nothing like what she had expected. He was kind to her. He listened when she spoke about her duties as a princess or her worries about the future. He made her laugh with stories about Earth and human customs. He never tried to control her or treat her like a prize he had won. Instead, he seemed genuinely interested in her thoughts and opinions. More surprising, he was brilliant. Marcus could discuss Kethmori crystal technology with their best scientists. He understood complex trade agreements better than most diplomats. He could speak 7 different alien languages fluently. Sometimes Zaravan caught him reading reports in languages she had never even heard of. Where did you learn to read Altarian? She asked one morning, finding him studying a tablet over breakfast. Marcus looked up from the strange symbols that covered the screen. Oh, this? I picked it up during the trade negotiations last month. The Altarians were using their own language for the fine print. I wanted to make sure we understood what we were agreeing to. You learned an entire language in a month? Languages are just patterns, Marcus said with a shrug. Once you understand the pattern, the rest follows. Zaravan shook her head in amazement. Sometimes I think you are too smart for your own good. Marcus smiled, but there was something strange in his expression. Maybe, or maybe I'm just smart enough. The peace treaty was working perfectly. Trade between the three empires had increased dramatically. Disputes were settled through negotiation instead of warfare. The galaxy was more prosperous than it had been in centuries. Then everything changed. Zaraven was in a council meeting when the first reports came in. Her father, Emperor Kesival, was discussing mining rights with his advisors when General Thexvar burst into the room. "Your Majesty," the general said, his crystal skin pale with shock. "We have received urgent communications from the Outer Rim. The Vex swarm has attacked human colonies." The room fell silent. Zaraven felt her blood turn cold. "That's impossible," she said. "The treaty." "The Vex Queen Mind has declared the treaty void," General Thexvar continued. "She says humans are genetically irrelevant and have no right to claim territory in this galaxy." The attacks began 3 hours ago. Emperor Kesival stood slowly. "How many colonies were attacked?" 7 so far. All communications have been cut off. We believe the colonies have been completely destroyed." Zaraven thought of Marcus and felt sick. Those were his people being killed. "Where is my husband?" she asked. "In his study, Princess. He has been there since the news arrived." Zaraven ran through the palace corridors. She found Marcus in his private study, sitting behind his desk with dozens of holographic displays floating around him. But he was not reading news reports or trying to contact Earth. Instead, he was studying military files. "Marcus," she said softly. He looked up and Zaraven gasped. The man she had married was gone. In his place sat someone she did not recognize. Marcus's brown eyes were cold and hard. His face showed no emotion at all. He looked like a predator studying prey. "Hello, Zaraven," he said. His voice was calm, but there was something underneath it that made her scales prickle with fear. "I heard about the attacks. I'm so sorry." "Your people, my people will be fine," Marcus interrupted. "But thank you for your concern." Zaraven moved closer to his desk. The holographic displays showed Kethmori military records, weapon specifications, and battle strategies. "What are you doing?" "Research." Marcus waved his hand and the displays changed to show Vex swarm fleet compositions and attack patterns. "I need to understand how civilized species wage war." The way he said civilized made Zaraven's blood run cold. "What do you mean?" Marcus stood and walked to the window. Outside, the crystal spires of the capital city gleamed in the sunlight. "Your people have honor codes, rules about how wars should be fought. The Gorlaks have traditions about single combat and honorable death. Even the Vex have patterns. They only attack military targets first, then civilian populations." "Those are good things," Zaraven said. "They prevent unnecessary suffering." "Yes," Marcus agreed. "Very civilized, very limiting." "Marcus, you're scaring me." He turned to face her, and for a moment she saw a flash of the gentle man she had married. "I'm sorry. I don't mean to frighten you. But I need to ask you something." "What?" "I need access to your military databases. All of them. Fleet positions, weapon capabilities, defensive strategies, everything." Zaraven stared at him. "Why?" "Because I need to understand how your military thinks, how they plan, how they react to different threats. But we're allies. You don't need to understand our military. I need to understand everyone's military," Marcus said quietly. "The Gorlaks might decide to join the Vex. Or they might try to take advantage of the chaos to attack us. Or you might decide that humans are too dangerous to have as allies. We would never—" "Wouldn't you?" Marcus asked. "If you discovered that humans were not what you thought we were, if you learned that we had been less than honest about our capabilities?" Zaraven felt a chill run down her spine. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I need those databases, Zaraven. Will you help me?" She looked into his eyes and saw something that terrified her. Marcus was not asking for help as her husband. He was not even asking as a diplomat. He was asking as something else entirely, something dangerous, but he was still her husband. And his people had been attacked. "Yes," she whispered. "I'll help you." Marcus smiled, and for a brief moment he looked like the man she had married. "Thank you. I promise you won't regret this." Over the next 3 days, Marcus studied every piece of military information the Kethmori had. He read battle reports from the last 3 centuries. He analyzed weapon designs and defensive strategies. He memorized fleet compositions and supply chain logistics. But he was not just learning about Kethmori military doctrine. Zaravan discovered that he was also accessing Gorlak and Vex databases through diplomatic channels. Somehow he was gathering intelligence on every major military force in the galaxy. "What exactly are you planning?" she asked on the third night. Marcus was surrounded by holographic star charts showing every known military installation in the galaxy. He looked tired, but his eyes still held that cold, calculating light. "The Vex have made a choice," he said. "They have chosen war over peace. They have chosen to attack civilians instead of negotiating. They have chosen to break a treaty that was signed in good faith. So what will you do?" Marcus turned off the displays and looked at her. "I'm going to give them exactly what they asked for, which is war." The way he said it made Zaravan shiver. "The human fleet is not large enough to fight the Vex swarm. They have billions of ships, and size isn't everything," Marcus interrupted. "Sometimes a small force can defeat a much larger one if they fight smarter." "How?" Marcus walked to his desk and picked up a small device. "This is a communicator that connects directly to Earth Command. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to send a single message. After that, the galaxy will see what humans are really capable of." "Marcus, please, talk to me. What aren't you telling me about your people?" He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft, almost sad. "Do you remember what I told you on our wedding night? About Earth being a difficult world?" "Yes. I didn't tell you the whole truth. Earth isn't just difficult, Zaravan. It's one of the most dangerous planets in known space. The weather can kill you. The animals can kill you. The plants can kill you. Even the air and water can kill you in some places." Zaravan stared at him. "That's impossible. How did your species survive? We became very good at killing things before they killed us." Marcus met her eyes. "We became very good at war. But you're so peaceful. You brought peace to the galaxy." "We brought peace because we wanted peace," Marcus said. "But the Vex have made it clear that they don't want peace. They want war, so we'll give them war." He moved toward the door, then stopped and looked back at her. "I want you to know that everything between us is real. I care about you, Zaravan. I care about your people. That's why I need you to trust me over the next few weeks." "Trust you to do what?" "Trust me to end this war quickly, before it spreads to other worlds, before more innocent people die." After he left, Zaravan sat alone in the study. She looked at the star charts and military reports scattered around the room. She thought about the cold look in Marcus's eyes and the careful way he had gathered information about every military force in the galaxy. For the first time since their wedding, she wondered if she really knew the man she had married, and for the first time she wondered if the galaxy had made a terrible mistake by trusting humanity. Outside her window, the stars looked the same as always. But Zaravan had the feeling that everything was about to change. The galaxy had known peace for 6 months. Tomorrow it would remember what war looked like. The human response to the Vex attacks was silence. For 3 days after Marcus sent his message to Earth Command, nothing happened. No angry diplomatic protests, no calls for help from allied governments, no public declarations of war. Human space simply went quiet. The galactic news networks were confused. "Human colonies continue to go dark as Vex forces push deeper into their territory," reported one anchor. Yet Earth Command has issued no official response to these devastating attacks. Zaravan watched the reports with growing concern. 17 human colonies had been attacked now. Millions of people were dead or missing. The Vex Queen Mind was broadcasting victory messages across the galaxy, claiming that humans were weak and cowardly. "Why aren't your people responding?" she asked Marcus over breakfast. He was reading a datapad while eating, just like any normal morning. "We are responding," he said calmly. "How?" "Your government hasn't even acknowledged the attacks publicly." "Sometimes the best response is no response," Marcus said. "Let the Vex think they're winning. Let them get confident. Let them make mistakes." "Mistakes?" "Marcus, they're slaughtering your people." For the first time in days, Marcus looked up from his reading. His eyes were still cold, but she saw a flash of something else. "Pain, maybe. Or anger, I know," he said quietly. "Every single life lost matters to us. But sometimes you have to sacrifice something small to save something much larger." "What do you mean?" "I mean that if we respond too quickly, the Vex might retreat to their core systems and turtle up. This war could last decades, but if we let them think they're winning, if we let them spread their forces thin across our territory, then what?" Marcus smiled, and it was not a nice smile. "Then we can end this war very quickly." That afternoon, the first reports started coming in. A Vex battle fleet had vanished, not destroyed. Not retreating. Vanished. The fleet had been patrolling the outer edges of human space, hunting for more colonies to attack. It consisted of over 10,000 ships, including several massive hive carriers that could hold millions of Vex drones. 1 hour it was there, tracked by long-range sensors. The next hour it was gone, no explosion, no debris field, no distress signals, no survivors. The galactic news networks were baffled. Military experts offered theories about secret weapons or dimensional rifts, but no one could explain how an entire fleet could simply disappear. 3 hours later, it happened again. Another Vex fleet, 8,000 ships strong, vanished from the edge of human space. Then another, and another. By the end of the day, 4 entire Vex battle fleets had disappeared without a trace. Nearly 40,000 ships were gone, along with the hundreds of millions of drones they carried. The Vex Queen Mind's victory broadcasts stopped. Zaravan found Marcus in the palace's communication center, speaking with officials from across the galaxy. He was no longer the quiet diplomat she had married. Now he stood like a military commander, his voice carrying the authority of someone who was used to being obeyed. The human government is calling an emergency session of the Galactic Council, he announced to the assembled diplomats. We will present our response to the Vex aggression. What happened to those fleets? Demanded the Gorlak representative, a massive warrior named Grakthor. What weapons did you use? All will be explained at the council session, Marcus replied. I think it's time the galaxy understood what humanity is really capable of. The council met the next day in the Great Assembly Hall on Nexus Station. Representatives from every major civilization filled the massive amphitheater. Zaravan sat in the section reserved for allied governments, but she felt like a stranger watching something she did not understand. Marcus walked to the center of the hall alone. No guards, no advisors, no weapons. Just one human standing before the most powerful beings in the galaxy. 3 days ago, he began, the Vex swarm broke the peace treaty. They attacked human colonies and murdered millions of innocent civilians. They declared that humans have no right to exist in this galaxy. His voice carried clearly through the vast hall. The Vex Queen Mind was wrong about many things. But she was right about one. Humans are different from other species in this galaxy. We are very different. The hall was absolutely silent. You see, the Vex, and all of you, made assumptions about humanity based on what you observed. You saw our small military. You saw our basic technology. You saw our peaceful nature. You assumed we were weak. Marcus paused and looked around the hall. You were wrong. A holographic display appeared above the assembly, showing a star map of human space. Red dots marked the locations where Vex fleets had vanished. Every human colony has defensive installations, Marcus explained. Not visible to long-range sensors. Not detectable by standard scans. Hidden in asteroid fields on moons inside planets themselves. Each installation contains enough firepower to destroy a battle fleet. The display changed to show technical specifications of weapons that made the assembled diplomats gasp. Energy outputs that dwarfed anything in the galactic databases. Targeting systems that could track thousands of ships simultaneously. Defense networks that could coordinate across entire star systems. But that's impossible, protested the Altarian delegate. We scanned your systems. We saw your defenses. You saw what we wanted you to see, Marcus replied. Every diplomatic mission to human space was carefully managed. Every cultural exchange was monitored. Every trade negotiation was designed to gather intelligence while revealing as little as possible about our true capabilities. Zaravan felt sick. She thought about all the times Marcus had asked her innocent questions about Kethmori technology, all the cultural exchanges between their species, all the information her people had shared freely with their new human allies. The Vex fleets did not simply vanish, Marcus continued. They were destroyed. Completely and utterly destroyed. Not a single ship survived. Not a single drone escaped. Our weapons are designed to leave no trace, no evidence, no survivors who might report back to the Queen Mind. The Vex representative, a large drone that spoke for the Queen Mind, made angry clicking sounds. Lies. The Queen Mind would know if her children were destroyed. Would she? Marcus asked. How far is the nearest Vex fleet from human space right now? The drone was silent. I'll tell you, Marcus said. There are no Vex fleets within 50 light years of human space. They've all been destroyed. Every single ship that entered our territory has been eliminated. The holographic display showed new information, tactical analyses of Vex ship designs, detailed breakdowns of their weapons and defenses, complete maps of their communication networks. "We know everything about the Vex swarm," Marcus said. "Ship designs, fleet compositions, command structures, breeding facilities, supply lines. We've been studying you since first contact. Every trade agreement included hidden scanning protocols. Every diplomatic meeting was recorded and analyzed. Every piece of technology you shared was reverse engineered and improved upon." Grakthor, the Gorlak representative, stood up. His massive frame towered over the other diplomats. "Are you threatening us, human?" Marcus looked at him calmly. "I'm explaining our capabilities, General. Whether that feels like a threat depends on your intentions." "And what are your intentions?" asked the Altarian delegate. "The same as they have always been," Marcus replied. "Peace, prosperity, mutual cooperation between civilized species. And if we refuse?" Grakthor demanded. "Then you would not be civilized, would you?" Marcus said quietly. "And we would respond accordingly." The threat was clear. The entire hall understood what Marcus was really saying. Humanity was not asking for peace. They were offering it. But if that offer was refused, the consequences would be swift and final. "The Vex swarm made their choice," Marcus continued. "They chose war over peace. They chose aggression over cooperation. They chose to attack innocent civilians. We gave them what they wanted." "What happens now?" asked Zaravan. She had not meant to speak, but the words came out anyway. Marcus looked at her, and for a moment his expression softened. "Now we end this war. The Vex Queen Mind has perhaps 1 trillion drones under her command, but they are scattered across hundreds of star systems. Their fleets are designed to fight species like yours. Honorable species with rules and limitations. We have no such limitations." The holographic display changed again, showing real-time images of human fleets moving through space. But these were not the small, basic ships that diplomats had seen before. These were massive warships bristling with weapons. Sleek destroyers that moved like living things. Carriers launching fighters that seemed to dance through space. "This is our real military," Marcus explained. "Every ship is crewed by soldiers who have trained their entire lives for war. Every weapon is designed for maximum destruction. Every tactic is focused on one goal: complete victory. The Vex War will be over within 2 weeks," he announced. "The Queen Mind will be dead. Her swarm will be extinct, and the galaxy will understand that humanity keeps its promises." Marcus looked around the hall one final time. "We promised you peace. We delivered peace. The Vex broke that peace. Now we will deliver war." He walked toward the exit, then stopped. "Any species that wants to remain at peace with humanity is welcome to do so. Any species that prefers war will find us ready to accommodate them." After he left, the hall erupted in chaos. Diplomats shouted at each other in a dozen languages. The Vex drone transmitted urgent messages to the war that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Marcus had promised the Vex War would end in 2 weeks. He was wrong. It ended in 10 days. But those 10 days changed everything Zaravan thought she knew about warfare, about humanity, and about the man she had married. She watched it all from the command center of the flagship Crystal Harmony, the Kethmori Empire's most advanced warship. Marcus had invited her to observe the campaign, saying she needed to understand what humanity was capable of. Now she wondered if that had been kindness or cruelty. The first thing that shocked her was the speed. Human fleets moved through space faster than anything she had ever seen. Their ships seemed to bend the laws of physics, appearing in one star system and vanishing before enemy sensors could lock onto them. "How are they moving so quickly?" she asked Captain Veltar, the ship's commander. "Unknown, Princess," the captain replied, his crystal skin pale with stress. "Our best engines cannot match their speed. It's as if they have found a way to skip through space itself." Marcus overheard the conversation. He was standing at the tactical display, coordinating with human fleet commanders across dozens of star systems. "We call it slip space," he said without turning around. "We developed it about 50 years ago." 50 years? Zaravan stared at him. "But first contact was only 2 years ago. You've had this technology the entire time?" "Among other things, yes." She was beginning to understand the scope of human deception. Everything they had shown the galaxy had been a lie. Their primitive ships, their basic weapons, their small military, all of it was fake. They had been playing a role. pretending to be harmless while gathering intelligence on every species they met. The second shock came when she saw human tactics in action. Vex drones were designed to work as a hive mind. They moved in perfect coordination, shared information instantly, and adapted to threats as a single organism. For 3 centuries, no military force had found an effective counter to this advantage. Humans did not try to match the hive mind. Instead, they broke it. "Watch," Marcus said, pointing to the tactical display. A human strike force was approaching a Vex fleet of 20,000 ships. The humans were outnumbered 50 to 1. The human ships split into dozens of small groups. Each group attacked a different part of the Vex formation. But they were not trying to destroy ships. They were targeting communication relays. Within minutes, the Vex fleet was cut into isolated sections that could not communicate with each other. The hive mind was broken into confused fragments. Drones that had moved with perfect coordination suddenly became clumsy and slow. Then the humans attacked in earnest. They're not just fighting the Vex, Zaravan realized. They're dissecting them. "Humans are very good at finding weaknesses," Marcus said. His voice was calm, but she could see the cold light in his eyes as he watched enemy ships explode. "We study our enemies until we understand exactly how they work. Then we take them apart." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Vex fleet was completely destroyed. "The human force had lost 3 ships. How is that possible?" Captain Veltar whispered. Marcus finally turned away from the display. "Because we fight to win, Captain. Not to gain honor or prove courage or follow traditions. We fight to completely destroy our enemies so they can never threaten us again." The third shock was the humans themselves. Zaravan had met human diplomats and traitors over the past year. They had seemed friendly, curious, and peaceful. She had assumed human soldiers would be similar. She was wrong. When she met the crew of a human destroyer that docked with their ship for supplies, she barely recognized them as the same species. These humans moved like predators. Their eyes constantly scanned for threats. They spoke in short, efficient sentences and treated violence as a normal part of life. "How many species have you fought?" she asked the destroyer's captain, a woman named Sarah Chen. "Personally, about 12, Captain Chen replied casually. "But humans have been at war with something for our entire history. If we're not fighting aliens, we're fighting each other." "That sounds horrible." "It is," Captain Chen agreed, "but it makes us very good at it." Zaravan noticed that the human soldiers carried weapons even while eating meals or having casual conversations. When she asked about it, Captain Chen seemed surprised by the question. "Why wouldn't we be armed? You never know when something might attack." "But we're on a peaceful diplomatic mission." "There's no such thing as a peaceful mission when you're at war," Captain Chen interrupted. "The Vex could attack at any moment. Pirates might try to board us. Hell, you might decide you don't like humans anymore and try to kill us. We would never. Maybe not. But if you did, we'd be ready." The casual way Captain Chen discussed the possibility of violence made Zaravan's skin crawl, but it also made her understand something important about humanity. They did not trust anyone completely. They prepared for every possible betrayal. They assumed that anyone could become an enemy at any moment. That night, she confronted Marcus about what she was seeing. "Your people are terrifying," she said. "They think about violence constantly. They prepare for war even during peace. They treat friendship and enmity as temporary conditions." Marcus was in their shared quarters reviewing battle reports. He looked tired, but his eyes still held that cold, calculating light. "Is that really so different from other species?" "Yes, my people have honor codes." "The Gorlaks have traditions about fair combat. Even the Vex follow certain patterns." "And all of those species have been at war for 3 centuries, Marcus interrupted. "Your honor codes, their traditions, the Vex patterns, they're all limitations. Rules that make war predictable, safe, civilized. Those are good things." "Are they?" Marcus asked. "How many people died in 3 centuries of civilized warfare?" "Billions, trillions." Zaravan did not answer. "Humans don't fight civilized wars," Marcus continued. "We fight to win as quickly and completely as possible. Yes, it's brutal. Yes, it's terrifying. But it ends the killing faster. By becoming monsters." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft, almost sad. "Do you know what we call Earth, Zaravan? Your home world. We call it the Death World. Not because we want to, but because it's true. Everything on Earth is trying to kill everything else. The weather, the animals, the plants, the diseases, even the geology. Humans survive by becoming better at killing than anything else. He stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. We didn't choose to be this way. We were made this way by millions of years of evolution on a planet that showed no mercy. Every gentle human died young. Only the killers survived to have children. But you can choose to be different now, can we? Marcus turned to face her. The Vex chose war over peace. They chose to murder innocent civilians. They chose to break a treaty that could have lasted forever. We gave them every chance to be civilized. So you decided to exterminate them? We decided to protect ourselves and our allies, Marcus corrected. If that requires exterminating an entire species, then that's what we'll do. The fourth shock came when Zaravan realized the scope of human planning. She had thought the war against the Vex was a reaction to their attacks. She was wrong. Humans had been planning for this war since first contact. Every diplomatic mission to Vex space included intelligence gathering. Marcus explained as they watched human forces assault the Vex Queen Mine's home system. Every trade agreement was designed to map their supply lines. Every cultural exchange was used to study their psychology. You were planning to attack them? We were planning for the possibility that they might attack us, Marcus said. Or that they might attack our allies. Or that they might simply prove to be incompatible with galactic peace. On the tactical display, human fleets moved with perfect coordination. They knew exactly where every Vex installation was located. They knew which systems were heavily defended and which were vulnerable. They knew how long it would take the Queen Mine to redeploy her forces. This isn't a war, Zaravan realized. This is an execution. Yes, Marcus agreed. A very well-planned execution. The final shock came when she met the Queen Mind. The Vex home system was a nightmare of organic technology and writhing bioships. At its center was a massive station where the Queen Mind resided, connected to billions of drones across the galaxy. Human forces had surrounded the system, cutting off all escape routes. The Queen Mind's remaining fleets were trapped, outnumbered, and outgunned. Surrender was the only logical option, but the Vex did not surrender. She would rather die than admit defeat, Marcus explained as they watched the final battle. The Queen Mind has never known failure. She cannot comprehend the concept of losing. Then why don't you offer her terms? Some way to save face? Marcus looked at her with something like pity. Because this is not about saving face, Zaravan. This is about removing a threat. The Queen Mind has proven that she cannot be trusted. She has proven that she will break any treaty, violate any agreement, murder any innocent civilians if it serves her purposes. So you're going to kill her? I'm going to kill all of them, Marcus said quietly. Every Queen Mind, every sub-queen, every breeding facility, every egg cluster. The Vex swarm will be extinct by tomorrow. That's genocide. The galaxy was silent. 3 days after the extinction of the Vex swarm, every major government was still trying to understand what they had witnessed. The most powerful military force in known history had been completely destroyed in 10 days. An entire species had been wiped from existence with surgical precision, and humanity had barely used a fraction of their true military strength. Zaravan stood in the palace gardens on Kethmore, watching the crystal trees shimmer in the afternoon light. The beauty of her homeworld felt hollow now. Everything felt different after what she had seen. The Galactic Council wants to meet, her father, Emperor Kesevol, said as he joined her among the crystal flowers. They want to discuss new security arrangements. Security arrangements? Zaravan almost laughed. Father, there is no security anymore. There is only humanity's willingness to let us exist. Surely you're being dramatic, am I? Zaravan turned to face him. Did you read the intelligence reports? Do you know what we learned about human military capabilities? Emperor Kesevol's crystal skin paled. Some of it. Every human world has enough firepower to destroy a battle fleet. Their real military is at least 10 times larger than anything they've shown us. They have weapons that can crack planets and ships that move faster than anything we can build. But they haven't threatened us. They don't need to threaten us, Father. That's the point. They're so much stronger than everyone else that threats would be meaningless. They could conquer the entire galaxy if they wanted to. Then why don't they? It was a question that had been haunting Zaravan for days. I don't know. But I intend to find out. She found Marcus in his study, reading reports from across the galaxy. The news was all the same. Governments surrendering territory they had claimed illegally, trade disputes being resolved overnight, piracy dropping to almost zero. The galaxy was suddenly very interested in following the law. The Gorlek Confederacy has offered to return the mining stations they seized from the Altarians, Marcus said without looking up. The Centauri Republic is paying back the war debts they've been ignoring for 50 years. Even minor planetary governments are settling their disputes through negotiation, because they're terrified of you. Because they understand the consequences of conflict, Marcus corrected. Fear can be a powerful teacher. Zaravan sat across from him. Tell me the truth, Marcus, all of it. I need to understand what I married. Marcus set down his datapad and looked at her. For the first time in weeks, she saw the gentle man she had fallen in love with instead of the cold strategist who had planned genocide. What do you want to know? Everything. Start with Earth. Marcus was quiet for a moment, organizing his thoughts. Earth is what we call a death world. The gravity is stronger than most planets. The weather is violent and unpredictable. The native life is aggressive and dangerous. Diseases that would be minor inconveniences on other worlds can kill humans in days. But you survived. We more than survived. We became the apex predators. Humans evolved to hunt creatures that were larger, stronger, and faster than us. We developed persistence hunting. We would chase prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. We learned to work in groups, to plan complex strategies, to adapt quickly to changing situations. Zaravan thought about the human soldiers she had met. Their constant alertness. Their casual discussions of violence, their assumption that anyone could be an enemy. Is that why your people seem so aggressive? Paranoid is probably a better word, Marcus said. On Earth, everything is trying to kill you. The plants, the animals, the weather, the diseases, even other humans. We survived by assuming that everything was a threat until proven otherwise. Other humans? Marcus nodded grimly. Human history is mostly a story of warfare. We've been fighting each other for tens of thousands of years. Every advance in technology, every improvement in tactics, every new strategy, all of it came from our wars against each other. That's horrible. It is, Marcus agreed. But it also made us very good at war. By the time we reached the stars, humans had already perfected every form of combat. We had strategies for fighting enemies that were stronger, faster, smarter, or more numerous than us. We had contingency plans for every possible scenario. Zaravan began to understand, including first contact with alien species, especially first contact. When we discovered that we weren't alone in the galaxy, the first thing we did was develop plans for defending ourselves. We assumed that any alien species we met would either want to conquer us, enslave us, or exterminate us. But we didn't. No, you didn't, Marcus said with a small smile. Most galactic species turned out to be much more civilized than we expected. You had honor codes, traditions, rules that limited how you fought wars. You were nice. So you decided to pretend to be nice too. We decided to offer you the kind of peace we thought you deserved. We hoped that if we showed you friendship and cooperation, you would respond in kind. For most species, that worked. But you kept preparing for war. We kept preparing for the possibility that diplomacy might fail. Marcus corrected. Every human learns a basic truth from childhood. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Zaravan thought about the scope of human preparations. The hidden weapons, the fake diplomatic missions, the intelligence gathering disguised as cultural exchange. You've been lying to us from the beginning. We've been protecting ourselves, Marcus said.
And protecting our allies.
Including you. By lying to us. By giving you peace, Marcus said firmly. Real peace for the first time in 3 centuries. Was that not worth a few secrets? Zaravan had to admit he was right. The galaxy had been more prosperous and stable in the past year than it had been in generations. But at what cost? Now everyone knows what you're capable of. Everyone is afraid. Fear is not necessarily a bad thing, Marcus said. Fear of consequences prevents bad behavior. The Vex were not afraid of us, so they attacked. They learned too late that they should have been afraid. And now? Now everyone knows that humanity keeps its promises. We promised peace to those who wanted it. We delivered peace. We promised war to those who preferred it. We delivered war, but which are you really? Zaravan asked. The peaceful diplomats who negotiated the treaty, or the warriors who destroyed an entire species? Marcus was quiet for a long time. We're both, he said finally. Every human is both. We are capable of great kindness and terrible violence. We can build beautiful things and destroy them just as easily. We can love deeply and hate completely. That's terrifying. Yes, it is. But it's also what makes us human. Zaravan looked into his eyes and saw both sides of his nature. the gentle man who brought her breakfast and made her laugh, the cold strategist who had planned the extinction of an entire species. They were the same person. "Do you love me?" she asked suddenly. "Or was I just a political asset?" Marcus reached across the table and took her hands. "I love you, Zaravan. More than I expected to. More than I planned to. You are the best thing that has happened to me in a very long time. But you are also a political asset," he admitted. "Our marriage is a symbol of peace between our species. It shows that humans and Kethamori can work together, trust each other, build a future together. So it's both. Yes, love and politics, personal feelings and strategic necessity. Humans are very good at holding contradictory thoughts at the same time." Zaravan realized that this was the key to understanding humanity. They were not simple creatures driven by single motivations. They were complex beings capable of feeling multiple emotions, pursuing multiple goals, and holding multiple truths simultaneously. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we go back to building peace," Marcus said. "The galaxy has had its lesson about the consequences of aggression. Hopefully it will remember that lesson for a long time. And if someone forgets, then we will remind them." A month later, Zaravan stood before the Galactic Council once again. But this time she was not there as a bride symbolizing peace. She was there as an ambassador, representing the new reality of galactic politics. The Kethamori Empire formally recognizes humanity as the dominant military power in this galaxy, she announced to the assembled delegates. "We pledge our continued friendship and cooperation with Earth and its colonies." One by one, the other governments made similar announcements. The Gorlak Confederacy, the Altarian Republic, the Centauri Federation, even minor planetary governments and trade unions offered their friendship to humanity. It was not exactly a surrender, but it was close. After the session, Zaravan met with Marcus in their quarters on Nexus Station. "Is this what you wanted?" she asked. "Everyone bowing to human power?" "This is what we needed," Marcus replied. "Peace, stability, an end to the constant warfare that had been tearing the galaxy apart. Through intimidation. Through strength," Marcus corrected. "The galaxy now knows that there are consequences for aggression. Wars will be much rarer when everyone understands the price of starting them." Zaravan looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human fleets patrolled trade routes and monitored potential conflicts. Hidden bases watched for signs of trouble. Weapons that could destroy worlds waited in asteroid fields and moon bases. The galaxy was at peace. But it was a peace enforced by the most dangerous species ever to reach the stars. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked.